Do you want to see how I made this? Get some high quality watercolor paper. Acid-free and 100% cotton is preferable. Now mix part A and part B together of a liquid cyanotype chemistry. Just mix what you need, because once you mix it together, it becomes light sensitive, but only UV light sensitive. So do this away from an open window. Now paint this solution onto your watercolor paper. I prefer to use these cheap craft sponges. Other people recommend fancy Japanese brushes, but for me, these craft sponges move the chemistry around really nicely. Now hang these to dry in a room with no windows. The creepier the better. Once your paper's dry, you can start making your arrangement. I do this in an open garage, so yes, that is UV light that you're seeing. However, it is indirect and does not affect my overall exposure. I use a combination of dried plant material, feathers, and fresh flowers when I'm doing these arrangements. I use the oval as my frame, and I make my composition within that frame. So whatever shape you decide to paint your chemistry will determine your composition. I've had some people comment that this is a waste of flowers, and all I can say to that is flowers die. These flowers were going to die. To me, this is a beautiful way of preservation, and it's also a historical photography practice being lost in our current day and age, and it feels important for me to share it. As with any art practice, this one does have its limitations. This is a blue process. Cyanotypes can be toned to change the color, but for the most part, this process creates blue results. When I look for things to print with, I look for the most two-dimensional options available. So ferns, feathers, and anything else that is less two-dimensional, I may have to alter to make it work for my process. Hence why I remove petals, break stems. What's that saying? A poor craftsman blames his tools. I am the boss of these flowers, or whatever I'm printing with. I need them to be as flat as possible so that I can place a heavy sheet of glass on top of them, and then also clamp them down with wood clamps so that I can get the highest level of detail and the sharpest quality of detail. This plant matter is acting as a negative, so everywhere where there's a plant will leave white, and then everywhere where there's not is going to leave a dark indigo blue cyan color. That's why they're called cyanotypes, not cyan as in cyanide, cyan as in blue. When it's ready, I'm going to place it out in direct sunlight for 11 to 15 minutes where I live. Today I had to chase the sun a little bit just because it was kind of early in the morning and the shadows were moving a lot. You have to adjust your exposure time according to your light that's available to you. You can bring it back into your covered area and remove the heavy glass and remove each thing that you placed on top of your paper for exposure to reveal this sort of grayish, greenish, depending on how long your paper sat before you exposed it, will kind of determine the oxidation of the chemistry on the paper. Now I'm bringing it back outside to rinse. I'm using the shower setting on my hose, and I'm rinsing until the whites run clear. About 2 minutes under constant running water. Then I fill a cup with water and put a splash of hydrogen peroxide in that and dump it over to immediately oxidize and increase the contrast of the print. And that is how you make a cyanotype.